Hey, Algebra 2 students, this is a review of our factoring tools that we've covered so far and how we can use them to help us find zeros of a function. In this review, I'm going to break down this into a few videos. The first one's going to focus on the differences and sums of cubes. In the next video, we're going to talk about factoring quadratics, which could be either with the diamond box method or with the quadratic formula. And then in the third video, we'll talk about factoring our cubics to the power of 3 with grouping. All right, so first I'm just going to write down the formula for us for a squared minus b squared. That's our general form for difference of cubes, and we know it's a formula will factor into a plus b and a minus b. Great. So the first thing I do when I do this, I like to match up my terms. So this is my x squared is like my a squared. My 4 is like my b squared. So a squared equals x squared, and b squared equals 4. And this is really just asking, well, what times what would give me x squared? So I'm taking a little note. Something times itself gives me x squared. Well, it has to be x times x, so therefore a equals x. And down below, something times itself gives me 4. In other words, what times itself equals 4? Well, that would have to be 2 times 2, so therefore b equals 2. That's actually all we need to use our formula. We need a value of a and a value of b. So based on this, I'm going to rewrite this, x squared minus 4. That's equal to, it's going to be a plus b, a minus b. A plus b, a minus b. So everywhere I see an a, I'm going to plug in my value, which is x. And then whenever I see a b, I'm going to plug in my value, which is 2. Great. So far, we factored this equation. We recognized it was a difference of squares. We grabbed our formula, figured out what a and b were, plugged them in, and now it's factored. Once it's factored, it's really easy to find our zeros. It says use each of the methods to find the zeros. So to find the zeros, that's just finding values of x where this is equal to 0. Typically, we can just read these right off. That's like saying x plus 2 equals 0, which is the same as x equals negative 2. So there's 1 0. The other comes from the other term. Two zeros. Awesome. Next, we want to look at, we're going to cover difference of cubes here because it's pretty straightforward. There are actually two formulas. You'll always have a reference to them if you're taking a quiz. This is a difference because it has a subtraction, so I'm going to write down our formula. A cubed minus b cubed is a minus b a squared plus ab plus b squared. So if I recognize this looks like something cubed minus something else cubed, I know that I can factor it using this formula up here. All right, so let's figure out what my a and b are going to be. A cubed is x cubed. That means something times something times something equals x to the third. That would have to be x times x times x. So that means a equals x. B cubed is equal to 27. I'm saying something times something times something equals 27. If I wasn't sure, I could check. Maybe I'd try 2 times 2 times 2. Well, that's going to be 4, 8. Nope, that's too small. Try a bigger number, 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Yep. So based on that, b would be equal to 3. Again, once we have our a and b, we're really just plugging them into our formula up here. So I'll rewrite it down here. It's going to split into our two terms. One's going to be x minus 3, because a is x, b is 3. And then a squared, that's going to be x squared. A times b, that's x times 3, or 3 times x. We usually call that 3x. And then b squared, that's b times b. 3 times 3, 9. Okay. So we got it factored a little bit, almost all the way. This factor I'm going to underline in green, that's all the way factored. It's good to go. We can get it's 0. It's just going to be x equals 3. The other one, we may need to do more factoring to get it down. we could try using the quadratic. Later on, we'll find, once you try it, that this is not going to actually get us any real solutions. No real solutions. So you could try it. Likely you're going to end up with a negative under a square root, though, and that would be a sign that we don't have any real solutions. Okay, so that's pretty much it for what I want to cover in this section, which is just applying sum and difference of cubes. Again, use your reference sheets. On the next page, to practice this particular skill, I would focus on practicing question 1, question 2, and question 6. Those 3 questions focus on using these patterns, so those would be good places to practice. All right, tune in next time for the quadratic.